So when you made the right cut correctly, this is what it's going to look like. Notice that it's in the center and the lower third of the 6-inch square. Now you need to make 4 of them because you want to have 2 layers. Ultimately, you want to have 2 layers on top of each other. So I'm going to begin, now that Connie has put mold release on her face, I'm going to begin with eyes first. So I've got a large bowl of water, and all I have to do is dip it in there gently once. You don't want it to leave. Don't see. Sometimes people think it helps to leave the material soaking. That's not a good idea. Notice that now the gauze is overlapping her nose, and it extends beyond her nose, and there's room for large enough, the opening is large enough that there's room for her eyelashes to fit. Okay, so that's the way you want to have both sides. Now when I do the right side of her face, notice how the plaster is then going to overlap her nose on the other side.
It's really like a trust exercise, isn't it?
Yes, the mask giver has to give the mask taker the benefit of the doubt that they're going to take care of it. So I'm going to move the plaster down over her nose, but not completely cover her nose. Don't have to do that, but she can breathe out of her mouth, so don't you know, you're not going to worry about that. Okay. So I'm going to continue with the second layer. Just repeat what I just did in the second layer. Overlapping the nose. I'm going to pull it toward her nose like that. Making sure that there's 2 layers. And then now all that's left is the right side of the mask, and wouldn't you know it, I cut it in the wrong place. And now I have to scramble to cut a new one. I'm not going to do that, but that was the trickster. No, what is it? Hyoka. That was Hyoka who made that mistake, so that you won't make that mistake. Mr. Thiel, who is Hyoka?
Mr. Thiel, who's Hyoka?
Hyoka is a trickster god from the Lakota Sioux tribe, who is a trickster, and his job is to do everything contrary and make all the mistakes, the requisite amount of mistakes that you need to make in life, so that people will watch and the calamity of their mistakes and make sure they don't do it.
So I felt you cinching it up around my nose, like the top of my nose.
Oh, right. You just reminded me of another tool that you're going to want to have in your hand. A disposable brush or a sponge brush. I just grabbed whatever was handy here, and it happens to be a sponge brush. I'm going to move the plaster in around the bridge of her nose using a brush, because it's just more precise and it works better. Now, see, I really do need to have a brush that has bristles. So we're going to add a 1-inch disposable brush to our assembly of necessary tools, because what the brush does is, you can see, if you look closely, you can see that the plaster is porous, and if you have a brush to agitate or manipulate it so that it's pushing the 2 layers together, you're going to have a more complete bond when the time comes. And not only that, I can be a lot more precise with the brush than I could with my fingers. Now, the next place I need to go, I need to fold the 6-inch square again, and I'm going to dip it folded, and I'm not going to unfold it, because if I do it this way, it's already 2 layers. And I'm going to start up here at the top of the crown of the head, overlapping this corner on the left, so that I've got material all the way up at the top of her head. That's going to come in real handy when it's time to decorate the mask. You're going to want that much material on that amount of the head. Because remember, with the wearable mask assignment, the headdress, the design of the headdress is going to be just as important as the mask itself. So that's why I'm putting a generous amount of plaster up on top of the head. Now I'm going to continue with the forehead here. And as you do this, you're going to be unconcerned with the actual surface texture of the different layers overlapping each other, because the important part is on the inside. You're going to be doing things to change the contour on the outside to make the project your own. Now the only other detail left is under the nose. I'm going to fold the 6-inch square one more time. This time I'm going to cut it in half so that it's 3 by 6, and then I'm going to fold it again so it's a 1.5 by 6. And I'm going to use that under the nose. Now you're going to need to relax a little bit so that I can get this under your nose and see how I'm making a kind of plaster mustache for the lower part of the nose. And there's still air, there's still room for air passage under the nose, in spite of the fact you can't probably see that.
And yeah, I'm breathing out of my mouth.
And the subject, the good news about doing the mouth open mask is that you don't need to worry about the nose. The subject can breathe out of their mouth. Okay, so I've applied enough.
Mr. Thiel, how perfect do you have to be with the edges?
That's going to be, we're going to tend to that.
It's not either.
We're going to tend to that after the mask is removed.
Okay.
Once it's set up enough to hold its own shape.
Okay.
So the side of the mask should be right. Oh, here, let's have you turn so that you can see in profile. The side of the mask should come down just in front of the ear. If there's not enough material there, let's say that on this side there's not enough material there. That's the last thing that you're going to check before you let this set up. So
is this going to be the time to make ears?
right, let's call this the sideburn strip. It comes right at the bottom corner of the mask and nearly covers the ear, like that. Okay, let's see the other side.
That was not a virus cough.
Right. That's I need a drink of water because I've been talking. So let's pause the video because we need to wait for an interval of time. No more than, it shouldn't be any more than 7 minutes from the time you finish to the time you're needing to remove it. So let's pause the video.